The differences between crocodiles and alligators are many and very important. For example, an alligator has a U-shaped snout, while a crocodile has a V-shaped snout. While crocodiles prefer salty water, alligators prefer fresh water, such as rivers, lakes, and of course, swamps. While we take into account these various, very, very significant differences, we must always remember that at the end of the day, they are both big fucking scary dinosaur lizards. So I just saw Crawl today, and it was great. Alligators, by the way. The things in that movie were alligators. When I first saw the trailer, I was not interested, at all. Or maybe I should say when I started watching the trailer. That would be more accurate. It was like when I saw the trailer for Baby Driver. How at the beginning I thought it was just going to be this, generic action movie. See cool names in it, but, nothing much. But that's when I saw the director name. As soon as I saw the name Edgar Wright pop up, I popped up as well, with excitement and anticipation. So something similar happened when I was watching the Crawl trailer. When I saw the name Alexandra, I got really excited. Aja directed High Tension, the NC-17 rated horror movie that's considered to be the big iconographic film representing the French extreme cinema genre. That's a subject for another video, I think. But anyway, needless to say, this wasn't just some guy, some hack director who just get to do your movie just because. They actually got a guy who would elevate whatever script you gave him. Like a good director. But then right after, I saw the name of my God King, Sam Raimi. Then, I knew I had to go watch the movie then. I didn't have another option. I had no choice. Although he was only the producer for this film, I'd really wager to say he had a fair bit of influence on the production. Production. Shit. I would actually go as far as to compare this movie to Drag Me to Hell. Just replace the old gypsy woman with an alligator. Anyway, in this trailer, I also saw this set piece. Come on, you son of a bitch! Once I saw that, I knew this movie wouldn't be just some run-of-the-mill disaster/creature movie. No, this would be a people trapped in a place movie, and I love that genre. If you're a creature/monster/disaster movie, it's not an asylum film. The main problem you're going to run into is that it's going to be very, very, very formulaic. I think a joyless cynic who hates movies might call Crawl a formulaic, predictable waste of time. But here at Monster Den, we like movies, and we like fun, and we like blood. So I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb and actually call this movie effective. Oh, that's good. Like I said, this is a people trapped in a place movie. And as such, you only have a few characters trapped in a single location. I'd say that this kind of movie is a lot harder to make and write, which is why I think we see a lot more of them coming out from smaller productions with more passion-driven ideas. Crawl, I think, is effective because it sort of recognizes the tropes and just everything that makes movies like it great, and makes very, very good use of them. This movie does not subvert, I don't think, many tropes, and it doesn't do anything big or crazy either, which I'll get into that later, what I would like to see. The first thing I'd like to mention that Crawl does really well is the whole system of having a setup and then a payoff. I think all movies use this whole setup payoff deal, You present something in the first act, it comes back in the later act to either complicate the situation or get your characters out of trouble. This is really important, I think, all kinds of movies, but especially in horror movies, and especially in People Trapped in a Place movies, Crawl has a lot of setups, and they all pay off, I think, really well. Let me give an example of a setup being bad. Let's take a look at the horror masterclass Criterion Collection film, Unfriended. In Unfriended, we see a character set up a blender next to his computer. A blender, yes, a blender. As the movie progresses, or I say even the trailer, you'll find out that the ghost in this movie is making characters kill themselves. So of course you see the blender, and you know, yeah. And it's no surprise. It's really not even that gratifying. It's a bit silly, if I'm being honest. I just noticed how well it was done in Crawl that I just need to bring it up. At one point in the movie, we see our heroine, protagonist, walking into the crawl space, hence the name Crawl, and she sees a screwdriver on the floor, right? Now we know she's looking for her father, and we know he's a contractor, and of course we later find out that he went into the crawl space to do some repairs, so it makes sense why she sees a screwdriver there. At that moment, there is nothing to indicate that that is there because she's going to use it later to stab an alligator? Yes, alligator. Alligator in the eye. Setup. Payoff. We also see a bunch of large animal traps, and the first time we see them, we see a dead animal inside. So we know why they're there. They're there to catch animals that are a problem, hence the dead animal in the cage. So later on in the movie, when our protagonist, heroine, hero, the good guy, good lady, is throwing these metal cages at two alligators, we don't go, ugh, sure was convenient that she had all those metal cages around, you know, like some kind of cynical asshole who hates movies would say. So throughout the movie, have all these great, I think, setups and payoffs that all work really well and just keep the pace going excellently, marvelously, fantastically. I know I haven't been talking too many specifics about the movie, but that's because I really want everybody at home to go watch it. Like I said earlier, go watch this movie. It's a good movie. Let's talk about the characters. Our protagonist Haley is played by Kaya Scodelario. She pretty much carries the whole movie, since I think about 90% of all the lines in the movie belong to her, and she's on screen, I think, for almost 100% of the movie. I think except for a few shots where it goes to her father. Yeah, a few shots of her father and a few shots of other characters who die very quickly, and it's all her. So I think she does a fantastic job being the main performance in the movie. Especially since she has to deliver dialogue that was probably, you know, Sam Raimi had some hand in that dialogue, so you know the wrong actor's gonna make it sound really bad.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick. It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line. You can find this in the sporting goods department.
Stings, doesn't it?
Protected you in high school, now I'm gonna kick your little ass.
She was actually in Moon, which is one of the best science fiction movies we've gotten in the last many, many years. Anyway, Haley lives in Florida, which is pretty unfortunate for her. If we're being honest here, I think people who live in Florida are pretty used to all the situations that occur in this film. Anyway, a Category 5 hurricane is about to hit the area, but she hasn't heard from her father. So she drives towards the storm, eventually finding her father passed out under his house in the crawl space. And then alligators. It's a simple movie, it really is. Like I said, it doesn't do very much to subvert what you'd expect for this kind of movie. But it does it all well. I feel like I should also bring up just how good the alligators look in this movie. You know, in 2019, you'd kind of expect all CGI to look good at this point, but no. Anyway, back to the characters. I feel like they did a really good job at painting these characters and their relationships. At points, they were almost approaching the Roland Emmerich levels of schlocky, emotional, out-of-place dialogue, but I think it was all performed and written well enough that it never quite got to that point. You know, characters are important in a horror movie. I think people focus too much on the scares and everything, but if you don't have characters you're rooting for, or at least hoping die, but not because they're annoying, then I don't think you have anything driving the movie forward. I think it might come across as a bit cheesy how in between alligator attacks the characters drop what they're doing and just have a little conversation that just happens to incorporate, you know, the divorce of Haley's parents, how Haley blames herself, how her father thinks he doesn't deserve to find love anymore, or happiness for that matter, and how her father was her childhood swimming coach, and how he encouraged her career and believes in her. They find a way to bring this all up between alligator attacks, which I think is pretty good. But to be fair, according to the film, these characters have not talked in years, and they're also in this life-threatening situation, you know, the kind of situation where you say all you might want to say to somebody before you're mauled by an alligator. Just a thought. I will say, there's a few points in the movie where the whole incorporation of Haley's past as a swimmer and her whole self-doubt, they try to incorporate that into the alligator attacks and how she's overcoming that. But I feel like they do it a little bit awkwardly. Like, there are 2 points that the dad repeats the same pep talk that we see him giving child Haley in a flashback. What are you? An apex predator. I think it was pretty cool to see a little, 5, 8-year-old girl say that she's an apex predator. And despite being cheesy, I think it all really still helps to work towards the character that they built up for Haley. Anyway, in the end, I think all that matters is that this does help present Haley as a tenacious, competitive character who we believe would be willing to take the risks she does in the movie. She's not just this random girl who happened to end up in this wacky alligator situation. This also brings me to another one of the tropes you oftentimes find in the people trapped in the place kind of movies, which is you are presented with very strong protagonists who, instead of just surviving, actually fight back. We get a number of pretty great, pretty fun, pretty bloody alligator kills in the movie.
Pete, you hear that?
I actually think it's pretty cool how they managed to keep finding different ways to just show people being mauled by alligators. I think after the second or third time, you'd kind of be running out of ideas, but each one feels, a little different. I appreciate that. However, you also find that a number of times, our protagonists also are killing alligators.
Here!
In cool, bloody, fun ways. Having characters fight back, I think, is really great. It's much better than having a character who's just running, crying, fleeing, screaming, giving up, crying some more. I think another little tiny complaint I have with the movie is that I feel like they could have done a lot more with the situation they had. Although really, I think they had a certain level of realism, which would have been broken if they went too crazy with it. The ending, I think, is a good example. After a moderately dangerous encounter with an alligator, I don't think too much more dangerous than what we've seen so far, our characters climb up to the roof of the house, and then a helicopter arrives with a little, rescue basket coming down, and then the movie ends. I was actually really high with my expectations. When the helicopter comes down, there's this really wide shot, and I was fully expecting a megalodon-sized alligator just to jump out of the water and eat the helicopter. I think that would have been great. If not, I was at least expecting for them to get on the little rescue basket, and then for an alligator to jump up and grab the rescue basket and crash that helicopter down. That would have been really cool as well. I think I was honestly just expecting there to be a larger alligator who just came out for that cool, reveal of, oh, we're safe. And then there's this big boy. And that thing in Florida, like in real life, how they just spot these huge alligators. I'm not even sure if those videos are real, but they are scary. Anyway, like I said, nothing groundbreaking, nothing revolutionary, no characters or scenes that are going to stick with you for years, but it does its job. It's like a contractor. It's a fun, tension-filled little horror movie. And honestly, what else can you ask for? And then maybe, in a month or two, you can watch it again on Netflix. When it ends up there inevitably. Anyway, at least it's a good thing that alligators aren't real. Yeah, that would really, really fuck me up.